Last week on the Nation Sports Show, we wrapped up our NFC conference previews for this year's NFL season, as we previewed the NFC East and the NFC West on last week's episode. Most of us agreed that the NFC East is the Dallas Cowboys division to lose. Can the Philadelphia Eagles, New York Giants, and Washington football team have a fighting chance to take the division from Dallas? We'll answer those questions tonight. And tonight, as we continue our NFL regular season previews, we now switch over to the AFC, as tonight we preview the AFC South and the AFC North. Can Carson Wentz turn around the Indianapolis Colts season this year? Can he help the Colts get back to the playoffs? Can Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill, and the Tennessee Titans continue their domination at the top of the AFC South? Can Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens take the AFC North division this year? Did Jackson improve from his mistakes and last year's playoff defeat against the Buffalo Bills? Can Ben Roethlisberger and the battle-tested Pittsburgh Steelers remain king at the top of the AFC North division? And can the Cleveland Browns once again shock the National Football League world once again? Can they make the playoffs for a second straight year in a row? The nation speaks to you next. From the gridiron to the court, talking all that is sports. Members of the Busted Open Nation bring to you our Nation Sports Show. Here are your hosts, Todd Tomlin, Mitch Young, and Stephen Wyand. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another Thursday edition of our Nation Sports Show live here on YouTube. What is up, everybody? I am once again your host for this evening, Stephen Wonder Wyand. And what is up, sports fans from around the world? Before I introduce my co-host for this evening, I would like to plug our social media platforms. You can follow us on Twitter at @ON_sports show and on Facebook.com/Nation Sports Show. And if you want to call in and give us your opinions on what our topics are tonight in the world of sports, you can go onto the sports show topic channel on our Discord server, The Nation's Corner. And there's the voice channel. Give a type comment or question, and we will let you in and give your opinions on what we're talking about tonight. And let me introduce my co-host for this evening. Up first, he is a Patriot fan, a Buccaneers fan, and a Red Sox fan. He is Mitch Young. Mitch, what's going on, brother?
Not a whole lot. Trying to survive, the coming of hell on Earth and down here in Florida, 109 degrees, heat index, humidity 158,000%. So just trying to survive and enjoy some sports at the same time.
That's right. And my other co-host for this evening, he is our favorite coach. He's ready to play once again. He is a stone cold fanatic. Hell yeah. He is Todd Tomlin. Coach, what's going on, buddy?
Not much, man. How are y'all doing tonight? Great to see everybody.
Doing good, man. So let's get this show on the road, man. So we kind of went over it briefly last week on our NFC East and NFC West previews last week. Well, the NFC East, a division that is in the unknown of certainty on who is going to win that division, because we don't know what team is going to be consistent at all times. It could be the Eagles, it could be the Giants one year, it could be the Cowboys one year, and a could be Washington, which it was last year. But we all basically agreed last week, with the exception of Sean, who that it's, we don't trust. He doesn't trust Dallas, and I get that. I mean, I don't trust Dallas, but but they're the better team on paper, and that's what we go for, right? It's the better team on paper, and a lot of us picked Dallas to win the division, last week, and so as far as this week goes, what team has the better shot, taking the division from Dallas? I mean, this year. I mean, we'll start out first with Philadelphia. I mean, Philadelphia last year, just not a great consistent year last year. Carson Wentz once again injured prone once again, and out with injuries again last year, and Philadelphia didn't make the playoffs. But the one game about Philadelphia last year that I still scratch my head about is that game against against the Giants. That was an ugly game. An ugly game. It was terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. Or you know what? I'm sorry. It was Washington.
Yeah.
Because the Giants faced the Cowboys that night, and the Giants ended up winning that game. And that game against Washington was just terrible. It was turnover after turnover. It's like, hey, you turned the ball over? No, buddy, I'm turning the ball over. That's the way the game was going. It was a terrible game. I mean, my God. I was listening to the game on Westwood One. I'm like, this is terrible. They're like, this is ugly. I said, ugly is an understatement how this game is going. I mean, Haskins was turning the ball over, and poor what's the backup quarterback's name again? Mitch, help me out here. The guy
at Washington?
No, Philadelphia. Hurst, right?
Yeah, I think
Jalen
Hurst. Jalen Hurst had a terrible game, and Haskins had a terrible game. Both quarterbacks played poorly, and Washington somehow won that game, and the Giants were going, damn it, we had the division in our grasp, and they had to win the game. But Philadelphia last year was so up and down. I mean, Jeffrey's out with injuries, Deshaun Jackson out with injuries, the running backs in and out of the lineup out with injuries, the defense out with injuries. It was just not a great year for Philadelphia. But guys, how do you think, we'll start out with you, Mitch, first. How do you think Philadelphia is going to do this year?
Based off of so far in the preseason, another shit show. I mean, this is not so much a conference of who's going to, finish with a winning, or actually, it's the question, who's going to finish with a winning record. Out of 5 games in that conference in preseason week 1, there's been 5 losses. I mean, it's literally, I'll tell you right now, I think the number 1 prop bet in Vegas right now is which team in the NFC East is going to win the game first. I mean, it's getting that bad. And I mean, like I mentioned in the pre-show, it's getting to be like, how shitty of a season can you have and still win your conference? Because not one of those teams finished with a winning record last year. And I mean, at that point, like, what's to say, one of these teams goes 2-14 or 2 and whatever, and that wins the division? Like, how ridiculous is that going to be?
Right. I mean, it's like 11 years ago in the NFC West. I mean, that division was so piss poor, with Seattle winning that division at 7-9 and had to beat at the time the St. Louis Rams, to get into the playoffs. And the team that had won that game was going to host a playoff game, and they faced the Saints that year. Yeah. I mean, come on. I mean, give me a
Washington won that division last year at 7-9.
Yep.
Then New York and Dallas were at 6-10, and Philly was at 4-11. So, like, if it gets to that point where the first place team is, I don't know, we'll say 5-11, whatever, some crappy abysmal record like that. At what point does Roger Goodell and the NFL step in and go, okay, yeah, we're going to pick, this team over here who finished at 14-2 that is on the outside looking in because they deserve it and you don't, I mean, it's getting to the point where some restructuring of playoff berth is going to have to be looked at.
Exactly. I mean, my God, I mean, there's teams that have been 10-6 or 11-5 and still miss the playoffs.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Yeah, and that's ridiculous.
I mean, Tampa Bay 11 years ago went 10-6 and they missed the playoffs. And Josh Freeman had one hell of a year for Tampa Bay that year. They missed the playoffs. I mean, there's been years, when just teams have done good, over the past decade or 20 plus years, and have missed the playoffs because of the way the playoff structure has always been. And I don't know. I mean, it's going to be a very interesting year this year for Philadelphia and for this whole division. And that means we'll move on to the New York Giants. I mean, oh my goodness. I mean, last year, once again, the Giants once again struggled throughout the entire season. Daniel Jones was so up and down, and the poor guy, God bless him, he got spooked and he tripped over his own 2 feet. He had an opportunity to score a touchdown and he blew it out.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I mean, I might be fine as a bat, but even I know, keep on running, because if you keep on running, chances are, son, you're going to score a touchdown. I mean, my goodness. I mean, he was up and down last year. He was consistent at times, and then there were times he was inconsistent. I mean, the defense was not good. Their offense was up and down. Just the coaching was bad. And I just do not see the Giants this year doing so good. I'm going to be generous. I'm going to give them 4 wins. They're going to go 4-12. I'm being nice here, okay? They're not going to
nice. Hell, that's enough wins to win that division.
That's true. That's true.
You know what? That's right. That's right. I mean, because Philadelphia was playing spoiler last year, and they only had 4 wins last year. I mean,
it's ridiculous.
I don't know, man. I mean, Todd, what do you think about this Giants team? I mean, just help me out here.
Well, they're not going to be any better, if not a tad worse than last year. It didn't seem like they did anything in the offseason to get better. Daniel Jones, bless his heart, he's not your answer at quarterback, that's for sure. Defensively, they're not very good. And even if Daniel Jones was good, he didn't have a lot of people surrounding him as far as receivers or running backs go. The line's not very good at all. So, I mean, even if you had the best quarterback back there, offensively, they would still suck. And I agree with y'all that NFL should have already looked at restructuring the playoffs somehow. There's no sense a team in another division winning 11 or 12 games and not being in the playoffs because a team in a crappy division wins 4 or 5 and wins. It's just it's insane to me. I don't know how you do that, how you change it up, but you should be rewarded for what you do during the regular season. That's why you play the regular season. And then you've got these teams that have won 10 plus games left out. It's just that's not right.
Absolutely. I mean, All right, Mitch, what do you think?
I think that they are going to need to bring in some tools. I'm going to be dead honest with you. I think New York would be a perfect home for somebody like Jimmy Garoppolo. Depending on how things work in San Francisco, I think he could be that marquee quarterback, Phil Simmons was. Somebody who could just take over and lead a team. As much as I hate to compare him, Eli Manning was that way with the Giants there for a long time. So I think if they picked up a key leadership style player who could take on the offense and run it and inspire the team to rally around him, I think the Giants have a great shot at owning that division for years to come. But it's whether or not the front office is willing to make the moves that they need to make.
That's a very good point, because, I mean, Jimmy G is a solid quarterback. I mean, no matter what system he's been in, New England, San Francisco, despite his ups and downs in San Francisco, he's still a solid quarterback. He's been solid. And if he goes to the Giants, I think that'd be a good move for them. I mean, because, they need somebody that is a pretty consistent quarterback to be under center and throwing the ball and making the safe throws when they need to be. And then when it's time to go for the jugular, Jimmy G can do that. That's the type of player that he is. He almost had that ring 2 years ago for San Francisco.
Case in point,
he's an NFL quarterback.
Yep.
A case in point about teams getting left out. Miami went 10-6 last year, was eliminated from the playoffs, and who was it? Washington made it in at 7-9.
Yeah.
I mean, so I understand that, that's kind of not an apples to apples comparison because that's an AFC team and an NFC team. So you have to keep it balanced. But even still, I mean, you look at, you had teams like the Arizona Cardinals at an 8-8. They, I would have put them in over, a 7-9 team. Like the Chicago Bears made it at 8-8, but the Arizona Cardinals got eliminated.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. Like honestly, I think, automatic berth because you're a division champion. I think that needs to be reworked.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So,
Todd?
Yeah, they did. And I want to go back to Jimmy G real quick and ask me something. This has nothing to do with what's going on today.
Yeah.
But what are your feelings are in that whole situation in New England when he got shipped out? To be honest, I always felt like, and it's just my opinion, that Tom Brady was in the background, worried about Jimmy G a little bit, and knew he was being pressured.
As a Patriots fan, I followed this story very closely, and Brady was actually not in favor of trading Jimmy G because he was considered a requirement. Robert Kraft would not agree to pay 2 marquee salaries, quarterback salaries, and Jimmy G was not going to stay for backup money because he had led that team when Brady was out with the suspension and stuff and led them very well. So he proved that he could handle the offense. And Belichick wanted Garofalo to stay in New England. He did not want to trade him. Robert Kraft spearheaded that whole trade scenario.
Okay.
So it wasn't Brady behind the scenes, and it wasn't Belichick was 100% against it. And Brady even told him, "You're getting rid of the next me."
Okay. Wow. Okay. I always wondered because I just thought it was so weird that, like, why would you get rid of this guy? He's so good.
Was all
and
money.
If Brady ever gets hurt, it's just like plug and play. You've got somebody that can come in and do exactly what you need. So, and I love him in San Francisco. You're right. Stephen mentioned a while ago, a couple years ago, he just about grabbed a ring there. And, I don't really remember if they made any. They didn't really make any significant moves in off season either, did they? That I can't recall him. Yeah.
No, just picking up another quarterback to push Jimmy out.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. But going to the Giants, if he, obviously, be way better.
He could
Daniel
go to
Jones.
any team in that division other than Dallas and excel. Because, Philadelphia's got Joe Flacco and Jalen Hurts. Washington.
Yeah.
Let's see. Who does Washington have? That's their quarterback. They have Kyle Allen and Ryan Fitzpatrick and Taylor Heineke. And Steve Montez.
It wouldn't shock me the least bit if Fitzpatrick doesn't start out of that.
Dude, I'll tell you right now.
I haven't heard anything to that effect.
Can you imagine the 1-2 combo of Fitzmagic and Garofalo at Washington?
Oh, dude, that would be awesome.
It'd be pretty sweet.
Because Fitzpatrick has tendencies to be good. He's not too bad of a quarterback. The years that he had with Miami, they were pretty damn good.
That's why they call him Fitzmagic.
Exactly. He knocked the Patriots out of the second seed, and Kansas City got that second seed, 2 years ago. It's just and that brings us to Washington. Washington last year, was shocking, 7-9, made the playoffs as the NFC East division winners. Haskins as the quarterback. Now he's moved on to Pittsburgh, and Alex Smith, obviously, made his return, last year and played his first set of downs in a couple years after having that nasty, ugly injury against Houston. I'm telling you, I was so glad that Alex Smith was able to take that field again because, man, he almost lost his life. Just that injury, so heartbreaking. Same score, basically the same team. It was heartbreaking for him, and I'm so thankful that he was able to return, and play football and end on his career the way he wanted to, instead of an injury taking him out of his entire career shortly. I mean, and how do you got? I'll start with you, Todd. How do you think Washington this year is going to fare this year?
Mediocrity, just like 6 games, 6-10, maybe.
Okay.
5, and you just don't ever know with them from week to week. You really don't. They're kind of one of those teams that play up to their level of competition. It seems like when they're playing somebody really good, they'll play really well. But then the teams that they should win, they seem to struggle with. So
exactly. I mean, they're one of those teams that have some good pieces.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's just, I don't know, man. I mean, I'm going to be generous, again, and give them 5, even though 5 wins, even though we don't know what this, you never know with this division. I mean, it's just.
You don't. I mean, nobody's going to run away with it.
No. I mean, it's Dallas's division.
I don't think. To lose, absolutely. But, that's the problem. It seems like they always find a way to do that very thing.
Oh, yeah. They've excelled at it.
I mean, every year we think this is going to be the year, and whether it be due to injury or bad coaching decision, whatever it might be, they tend to, piss it away. It's amazing.
It's amazing how all that talent with Ezekiel Elliott and Amari Cooper and all of those players that are on that
good offensive line.
Good offensive line. Dude, that offensive line is nasty. I mean, and when Elliott was a rookie in 2016, that was one of the best running back seasons for any running back of all time because of the offensive line, how nasty that year it was. And their offensive line is still pretty solid. But the thing about it is, no matter how good Prescott can be at times, you have to have that offensive line to keep you upright and safe. Because Prescott went down with that nasty injury last year and cut his season short. And then they paid him 4 years, $160 million contract. And this is the first year, obviously, in this deal. And this right here, to me, is going to be a telltale sign. Is that Prescott worth the money? And I don't know, man. I mean, he's always said, "Oh, I'm worth the money. I'm worth the money." Well, now it's on you, brother. Now it's time to go out there of your fans
and show it
because
I like that. I like that, but to me, he's never been. Last year everybody made a big deal. He gets hurt, Dalton comes in, and the team falls apart, and all the procrastinators and stuff. See how good he was. The team was doing decent, and then he goes down. The team, implodes, and I felt like it was a lot more to it than just him going down. I just don't think.
And everybody thought that Andy Dalton was going to help out. Well, that didn't happen because when you don't have a lot of experiences with that offensive system and with a different head coach at that time, he went from spending all of those years in Cincinnati with the Bengals and AJ Green and throwing those balls up to Green and had a great chemistry with him and all those running backs and tight ends and receivers and over the years in Cincinnati. And he goes to Dallas. Everybody thought, oh, he's a solid quarterback. Yeah, he'll be like his old self, the Red Rocket. Yeah, he'll be good. Well, sorry, sir, but that didn't happen. I mean, all those receivers. Oh, Amari Cooper, he's going to be good with Dalton's connections. No, you got to have.
What happened was.
Well, timing was off. They didn't have any time to work together. Their timing was off. It took them forever. Really, they never really did get on the same page. It didn't seem like, but.
Nope.
But at the same time, I felt like he took the blunt of the criticism when it was more to it than just the quarterback play. It just seemed like both sides of the ball fell apart.
Man, I'm having such a hard time even just thinking about it, as we're live, talking about this for this division. I can't even think right now who I would say has a chance to defeat Dallas and win this division because it's anybody's ball game. I mean,
I can tell you exactly who has the best chance to beat Dallas.
Oh, I think I know who you're going to say, but go ahead.
Dallas.
Exactly.
That's a great point. Yeah.
But, you talk about Washington. I'm going to sum up their efforts to get better this year. Looking at their transactions list from 2021, there's one entry No data available. Tells you everything you need to know.
Sorry, but we could not.
That's pretty bad right there, buddy.
We are so terribly sorry, but we could not find the data information on the Washington football team.
But
Doesn't
we got
exist.
about Jimmy G and everything, and I got thinking about it. Out of what is there, 32 teams in the NFL?
That is correct.
Out of 32 teams, what are there? 3, maybe 4 that Jimmy G couldn't go to and improve the offense?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. He's
that?
good enough.
Like,
yeah.
That right there should tell GMs and teams where this guy's at, because he can fit into any system.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know? Like, yeah, you're not going to take him at Tampa because you got Brady. You're not going to take him at Green Bay because you got Aaron Rodgers.
Finally.
You know, but I mean, you look at it, Detroit. You plug him in Detroit. Yeah, you're not going to replace Mahomes. You know, but you look at it, you know, you put him in Detroit. Detroit's instantly a contender style team.
Interesting. Yeah, you know.
So, I mean, you put him in Miami, you know, Tua's doing really well and everything, but he needs a couple more years to come on up, you know.
He does.
You know, put him in Baltimore. You probably aren't going to take him at Baltimore because Lamar Jackson's, you know, killing it there. So, but I mean, you look at it, it's amazing what caliber of a player Jimmy Garoppolo is, that you could literally look at the entire landscape of teams and go, he could go there. Yeah, he'd do good. Yeah, and there's hardly any places he wouldn't do better.
Yeah, that's a very solid point. I mean, if Garoppolo goes to any other team, I mean, he can make the rest of the NFC East teams competitive. I mean,
dude, I'm gonna tell you right now, if I was the GM next year and I had the number 1 draft pick, I'm trading to get Jimmy Garoppolo as my quarterback, and then I'm looking at him going, who do you want out of the draft to throw to?
Mm-hmm. There you go.
That's not a bad idea.
Simple as that. I wouldn't waste my pick on a quarterback. I'd go get him.
Yeah.
Exactly, because if you get him in a trade, and then Garoppolo can go, oh, I want to get this kid because this kid from Alabama. Sorry, I had to say it because Todd's on here. From Alabama or from LSU. Shout outs to Sean. By the way, happy birthday, Sean from New Orleans.
That's right. Happy birthday, brother.
Oh, he's having one hell of a party out there.
Happy birthday, Sean. And
in the Bayou.
Yep. Born on the Bayou. And also shout outs to our man Ezra from Our Nation Sports Show. He is at a John 5 concert right about now. Man, that dude's awesome on the guitar. It's
gonna be rocking.
2 chances to listen to John 5 live with Rob Zombie, and each time he's impressed me every time he's played. And getting back to to the sports talk and all that good stuff, and just if Garoppolo goes to any team, like you said, Mitch, I would be like, hey, who can I get on my team that's out of this draft that can be a solid pick? I mean, these kids 100%. these days are talented. They're still talented. Running backs, receivers, defensive players. I would say, hey.
Yeah, and the thing about quarterback position, think of all those years that, Jimmy's not the youngest guy.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't take Brady. So physically, his body's still in great shape. Obviously he had an injury. What was it? To his ankle or knee? It was his knee, wasn't it?
Yep, his ankle.
And but I mean, other than that, and it's not like he was Mahomes running around anyway. He's a pocket guy. So but you're right, he could go to almost any team and tell them to draft, this guy, that guy, whatever, then they could be wide open. That's something to probably look forward to next year.
He's played 7 years in the NFL.
Yep.
The most games he played in a single season was in 2019 and 16 games. Mm-hmm. Every other season, he's capped out at 6 games. So while, he's played, 7 years, the amount of output that he's put in and everything as playing as the backup and all that, it's more equivalent to he's a third year fourth year player.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Absolutely.
So he's got legs left to get run with. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, he's 51 touchdowns to 26 interceptions for his career.
And that's not bad
That's
at
pretty
all.
sweet.
That's a 2-to-1 ratio.
He seems to be a good leader as well, whether it be in the locker room or on the field. The other players seem to listen to him and get behind him, which is huge, right, at that position. So he'd be a good pickup for anybody.
Exactly. Just have to wait and see what happens. And now we're going to switch over to our topic for this week. And this is our third straight week of previewing this year's NFL season, as we now go to the AFC side of the coin of this year's season. And we're talking about the AFC South and the AFC North tonight. And we're going to start it out with the AFC South, and a team that has a lot of question marks, especially in the off season. The Houston Texans have a lot of questions surrounding their team. I mean, at this point, hell, if I'm Houston, get rid of Deshaun Watson and bring in Jimmy G. And there you go. That to me would be the best bet for Jimmy G, is to go to Houston. Because at this point, I don't even know if the remaining Houston players that are on that football team want to play with Watson under center because of what's going on in the offseason. It's just it's been crazy ever since that 24-7 game from 2 years ago against Kansas City had Kansas City on the ropes. And honestly, fellas, I don't think Houston after that game has fully recovered, because last year they were a shell of themselves and they did not perform at the highest level that they played a couple years ago. JJ Watt out of the team, obviously with DeAndre Hopkins a couple years ago, out. Last year he was out of the team, goes to Arizona. And that right there, I think, has really, I would say Deshaun Watson has lost his confidence in his receivers, because he had that one true superstar to throw to and a couple of other role players that were pretty solid. But the fact that he had that one guy that no matter what down it was, he could throw to Hopkins, and that was gone. Yeah. And last year it showed. The record was not good. They did not make the playoffs. So with that being said, Mitch, how do you think Houston is going to finish this year?
Well, considering the FBI has now confirmed to join the investigation into Watson, I don't think we're going to see much of Deshaun Watson.
No.
I think Tyrod Taylor is going to be your starter.
And that's a hell of a pickup for Houston.
Well, the thing that everybody's forgetting about is you got Jeff Driscoll that's Houston too. And, he had a couple of rough years at Florida because of the coaching situation and stuff like that. He didn't get along with the system. But this kid was billed as the right-handed Tim Tebow. He can run. He can throw. He's not scared to take a hit. He's a good all-around player. I mean, the only reason he became a quarterback is because every quarterback on his high school football team went down with an injury, and they knew, like, hey, you used to throw the ball, didn't you? And they put him in a quarterback, and he breaks all of Tim Tebow's high school records.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I mean, this kid has got potential if he's with the right system. And I think, Houston might be a good outlook for him. They got some weapons. They got Mark Ingram the second. They got Phillip Lindsay, who's an amazing running back. They got Brandon Cooks, so they got some pretty decent weapons. I think what's going to help this team is if they finally get rid of Deshaun Watson's drama all around, whether it be, he's back 100% with the team. Because, I mean, he missed 3 weeks of practice, showed up, and then was absent again. Yep. So it's like, is he here? Is he not here? What are we doing with him? I think getting that elephant in the room out of the room would help that team gel and become a more cohesive unit, and they could actually do better.
Right, because the season it's not like it's a month away. We're a few weeks away from it. I mean, the season is shortly upon us. Houston to me has got their work cut out for them this year. No matter who their starting quarterback is, even if it's Tyrod Taylor. I mean, Tyrod Taylor's a pretty solid pickup for Houston, last year and all that. And I think that he might, do pretty solid this year. I'm going to say Houston is going to be 4-12. Todd, how do you think he's going to finish this year?
Well, like both y'all said, just the whole, stigma and the drama and baggage and all that going on with Deshaun. Do I believe all those young ladies? No. I mean, I don't. I'm going to be honest. I think some of them it's a money grab. But where there's smoke, there's usually fire. So I'm sure 1 or 2 out of the 24 were actually, assaulted, harassed, whatever. But you just can't have that hanging over your head all the time when every practice, every game, every interview, every time there's a mic around, that's all they're going to be asking. And It's got to be draining. It's got to be draining for watching. It's got to be draining for his teammates, And you're right, Tyrod Taylor was a great pickup. And you're right, Mitch, he'll probably start. I mean, because Deshaun hadn't been around enough in camp to probably get the starting spot. And Tyrod will probably do good enough to keep him sitting over there on the bench. And you're right, too, about Driscoll. I mean, he killed it in the SEC. He had some really great games.
I just pulled up the depth chart for the Houston Texans, and starter is Tyrod Taylor. Second string is Jeff Driscoll. Third string is Davis Mills, and as the fourth string quarterback, Deshaun Watson is listed.
Wow. Okay, well, there's the answer.
Yep.
There is the
answer.
So
do y'all think they go to the extent of cutting him?
Probably. If he's the fourth string now,
at this point, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think
they're not going to carry 4 quarterbacks.
I think they're hunting for somebody to take him. They're hunting for somebody who'll take that.
I don't know. I don't know who out there would want him.
There's no way. There is no way any team would take the
I wouldn't think so.
Baggage because the fact that he's drama.
Yeah, I mean he. Some people are good enough that you can take on all that drama. He's not that guy. He's not good enough.
Not even the great Bill Belichick would take the
No,
shot.
oh Lord, no. He wouldn't touch that with 10-foot pole. No.
I don't know, man. He might do well as a Raider.
Oof.
Well,
I know a certain hijacker would not be happy about that.
I like Derek Carr too much. I don't want him to go to the Raiders.
No, yeah,
Derek Carr. I think if Houston can get past all the drama, they're a good 500 team.
Yeah.
I
agree. I can say win 5 or 6, 7. Yeah, 7.
I could see them. I don't know
about 8.
I could see them around, a 500 team, but also snipping in the conversation of making the playoffs. Like 1 win away, maybe 2 wins, 1 key drive, killing them for a playoff contention, but them being in the conversation.
Yeah,
exactly. And let's move on to the next team, the Indianapolis Colts. Man, this team, they got Carson Wentz, and unfortunately for Colts fans, they're going to have to wait for a few weeks because Carson is out with, once again, another injury. Boy, he just can't catch a break. And the Colts last year were struggling throughout the entire year. Up and down. Quarterback play was not consistent. And T.Y. Hilton, hell of a player. He's getting up there in age, but he can still go. He can still catch the ball. And
you got to have somebody to throw it to him, though.
Mm-hmm. And,
you got Jacob Eason, Sammy Ellinger, and Brett Hundley. And I don't know between Eason or Ellinger which one you would put in Wentz's place. I don't know. What do y'all think?
Yeah, that's a good point. And their running back, what's his name again, Mitch? Jonathan
Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor, man, that kid's good.
Yeah, he can go.
That kid is good. They have some decent players, Jonathan Taylor at running back and Hilton, the veteran, at receiver. But you got to have that quarterback, and they got a quarterback. But here's the problem: he's got to stay healthy, and that's the problem with Carson Wentz. He's a hell of a talent, hell of a player. but he has not hardly been able to stay healthy out there on the field to be there with his teammates.
His 1-2 punch for receivers is T.Y. Hilton and Michael Pittman Jr.
Yep.
That's not a bad little combo.
Not a bad combo.
So, I mean, if Carson can get healthy, can stay that way, Indy's got a good shot at it. But, man, I'm going to be dead honest with you. I think Indy struggles this year. I think they're a 4-12 squad.
Interesting.
We'll be holding, according to our buddy Steve Lodgen, Houston's going to win 4 games, and one of those are going to be by COVID forfeit. So he's not. Steve doesn't think much of Houston's chances of doing anything, and he's probably right.
Shout out to Steve. I'm really struggling with this Colts team because
I just don't see him doing anything. The
first couple of weeks is going to be a telltale sign on how Indianapolis is going to do this year. And Mitch, I have to agree with you. I think they're going to do 4-12. I don't think they're going to be in the conversation of making the playoffs because of Wentz being out for the first couple of weeks of the regular season with that foot injury. Their defense, I think, is going to struggle. Their offense is going to struggle to find footing and ground. And I just don't think they're going to be, as consistent.
I totally agree.
And so with that being said, we'll move on to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Oh, boy.
Duval!
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. First of all, the team that had a shot to get Trevor Lawrence, and they blew the opportunity, the Jets. Cover 0 against the Raiders. Need I say more? Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. You get nothing.
Man.
You lose. Good day, sir. So Jacksonville gets him. And they're like, oh, we'll give him action in the preseason. And then they had, talk about elephant in the room. How about the biggest question mark when he first joined the team back in the offseason? We're going, oh, why is he there? Referring to Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow was brought in. We're thinking, oh, he's going to be quarterback again. No, I want to switch to tight end. And it's the first couple weeks before the season, and Tebow is goodbye. Gone. He's gone. Out of there. Adios. Done. Tebow is out. So I'm being honest here. I think Jacksonville is going to be dead last in the AFC South. 3-13. Todd, how do you think Jacksonville is going to finish this year?
Well, it'd be just fine for me if those turds went 3-13, since Trevor Lawrence, who's my nemesis, being an Alabama fan, in all his good years at Clemson, it serves him right to go to the team. I'm kidding. He's a great athlete and seems like a good kid, but yeah, they're pitiful. They're pitiful.
Absolutely pitiful.
They didn't do anything to improve other than him, and I guess the coach, which I don't think he's going to make a difference. Do y'all? Y'all think Urban Meyer makes a difference? Moves the needle?
Where is Urban? All right, let me ask you a question. Where is Urban Meyer gone and not succeeded?
He's gone to places where he could tell kids what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and not have to do it to a 25-year-old millionaire. That's going to be. I mean, Nick Saban wasn't able to do it, and I'm not saying that because he's in Alabama, my team's coach.
I understand that.
Urban's an old school guy, and I just don't think he's going to, mesh with that.
I think it's a perfect combination. I think him with the owners that he has in Shad Khan and that team, I think it's the perfect situation. I think Urban Meyer should have been plucked from Florida in 2016 and taken to Jacksonville. I think that is a combination bred for success because He's got a fan base that's going to be behind him 100% because of the proximity to the University of Florida.
Oh, absolutely.
He also brought in Charlie Strong, who was his defensive coordinator at Florida. So they both know their system. Yeah, Charlie Strong should have been the next coach at Florida after Urban Meyer left.
Yeah.
However, I think Charlie Strong's going to build that defense up. I think, with the pickup of Trevor Lawrence, Gardner Minshew is the backup. If they can get that system worked out to where they can coexist, they got Carlos Hyde as a running back. They got Travis Etienne they picked up in the draft as a running back. I mean, you're looking at, they got Marvin Jones, Philip Dorsett II. Mm-hmm. Their receiving core is not that well known, but that plays to their advantage because nobody really has a scouting report for them.
Exactly. And you know what? The receiving core is honestly, that's not a bad.
It's not at all.
Not bad.
What about their line? I don't know anything about their offensive line.
They got they got Cam Robinson for left tackle. Andrew Norwell is questionable, but they got Ben Barch and Garrett McGinn backing him up. Your center is Brandon Lidner. Right guard is AJ Cann. Right tackle is Jawan Taylor. Mm-hmm. So I mean, they've got some players, and I mean, it's just a matter of if everybody buys into the Urban Meyer philosophy, there's no stopping that team.
None.
Because the thing about Urban Meyer is he makes you believe that you have no limits. That's why he was able to secure Tebow from Alabama and run with him the way he did. He's like, hey, kid, you ain't got no limits. Come play for me. And of course, there was some other extenuating factors.
But I just feel like on a professional level, the way he coaches, unless he's adjusting, he may have enough sense to know, I can't talk to these guys the way I did, an 18-year-old young man or, treat them the same way.
I think.
But let's be honest, Todd. I mean, a guy like John Gruden, who coached the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Oakland Raiders back in the day, when he went to Tampa Bay and coached in those couple of years and won that Super Bowl in the first time he coached with them in 2002, Gruden was hard on those players. He talked trash. He basically gave them a kick in the ass.
How many years ago was that?
I know that was years ago.
Kids are totally different nowadays.
I know.
25-year-olds.
Here's the thing.
But at the same time,
that coach determines whether or not you continue to be a millionaire.
Exactly. And that's the problem. You know what? If I'm a head coach today, I'm doing the same treatment to these guys. If you're not playing at the high level I think you can play at, give them a kick to the ass and tell them, look, dude, you don't practice hard enough. You don't play hard enough. Look, you're getting benched.
You don't think Belichick does that?
Oh, hell yeah.
Belichick's in a different situation. Kraft gives him because Kraft says, "Go do what you do, Bill, and holler if you need me."
What do you think Shad Khan did?
No, I don't. But at the same time, I don't know who the GM is. Who's the GM? I'm not. The owners don't mean nothing. It's the GMs that matter.
No,
and if the player goes to GM.
Any other program, I 100% agree with you. This one, Shad Khan was in the draft room with Urban Meyer when they picked Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah,
Shad Khan is very hands-on with the Jaguars,
and that's good.
As someone who lives here in Jacksonville and sees this stuff firsthand,
okay.
Shad Khan is very hands-on with that team.
Oh, I'm not saying he is or anything in between. I'm just telling you, if the 25-year-old person walks in the office and says, "Look, I'm tired of him bitching me out every day and embarrassing me and disrespecting me. I'm going to do this or that." I'm telling you, the NFL's just a different world than the college.
But I don't think Urban Meyer is being disrespectful. I think he's being.
Oh, I don't know if he is or not. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. He may be just patting them all on the back and telling them they're awesome all day. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if he's changed his ways.
Urban Meyer can be harsh, but I don't think he ever got disrespectful with it.
You know who he reminds me of as far as his coaching mentality, and because he's a great coach.
Who's that?
And he reminds me, and obviously this coach I'm going to say is in a different sport, but Pat Riley, because Pat Riley believed in guys that, like you said, with Myers, with the way with his players, people think that you're not going to be great. Well, hey, kid, you know what? you're going to be great with me. Because you know what?
He inspires more than he coaches.
I believe you. I believe in you. And that's the way Pat Riley was all those years coaching with the Heat, with the Lakers, with the Knicks. He believed in the players that were in his system because he's having to coach them. And the players believed in him, and that made them play hard enough. And I think that Jacksonville, it's going to be a struggle this year, but I think Jacksonville has a pretty good chance if they can get Trevor Lawrence, get his feet wet, get him nice and comfortable with the system. Yep. Jacksonville has pretty good talent that, on this team. And, I said they're going to go 3-13. I'm still standing by that because it's going to be a struggle because he's a rookie. But I think with the right coaching, I think with the right, quarterbacks coaching, the head coach and all that good stuff and learning from, all those guys, I think that Trevor's going to have a pretty solid career once he gets his feet wet in the NFL.
Yeah.
Steve, our buddy Steve brings up a good point too, that he does have a lot of Clemson players there, which, Clemson's produced several really good athletes the last few years. So, yep. and they know how to work from Dabo,
Mm-hmm. And it's going to be rather interesting to see how Jacksonville does this year. So we're going to move on now to the team that I think is going to win once again, the AFC South. If you got to finish with the best, right? And I think the best right here in the AFC South is once again the Tennessee Titans. Oh my goodness. I mean, man, they have been killing it the last couple of years. I mean, Derrick Henry, need I say more? The dude is a monster. Monster. And Ryan Tannehill has finally found a system that works the best for him. Man, just that dude is having an awesome time, I believe, in Tennessee with these guys. I mean, he believes in everybody on this team. A.J. Brown. I mean, he good. That man good. Man, that kid's got some speed. He's got some speed. Their defense is solid. Their offense is good. Their line is good. I think Tennessee this year is going to finish once again at the top of the AFC South, and I think they're going to go 11-5. Mitch, how do you think Tennessee's going to finish this year?
I think they're going to win the division. I give them 12-4.
All right.
11-5, somewhere in that ballpark. I think they might make it to the second round of the playoffs. I don't think they're Super Bowl ready yet.
I don't think so either. But hey, they got close against Kansas City a couple years ago.
I mean, you look at their roster. They made some great pickups. They got Julio, Derrick Henry. They got Tannehill, A.J. Brown. I mean, they got Des Fitzpatrick backing up Julio. So I mean, they're sitting in the catbird seat. That's for damn sure. It's just a matter of can they put it all together when it counts.
Exactly, and
can everybody stay healthy? That's the number one question for every team right now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Absolutely. Our buddy Steve brought this up in the chat, and I just looked it up, and he is correct. We've been misquoting on that. They dropped a preseason game, and they actually added to the regular season. This year, they're going to have 17 regular season ball games instead of 16.
That's right.
So we've been saying like 12-4 and 10-6, whatever. But they, and you're right about Tannehill, Steve. I think if he's anywhere else, he's probably not producing like he is in Tennessee. That system just fits him really well. And Derrick Henry is just, oh my God, man! Some of the things he can do is just. I've stood next to him twice, both times just in street clothes. And you can't even just his shoulders are like that wide, and he's like at that V cut, and he's massive. He's a massive human being, and then you see him running as fast as he is. I'm like, holy crap! It'd be like getting hit by a car in the parking lot or something. I mean, he's huge. But go ahead.
My God, this Tennessee team is just loaded. They are loaded with weapons. They're loaded with talent. And Mike Vrabel, my God, that dude is.
I agree with me. Not this year. And anytime, you got Kansas City, and other teams like that in AFC, we haven't gotten to them yet, so we'll cover them next week or whenever. But they're
this week.
As long as they're there. So
exactly, because that's the problem. With having that guy.
Exactly.
What's his name? Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, who's that guy again? Yeah, he good too. Yeah, that kid good. Super Bowl champion. Yeah, that guy. Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, you think about it. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce are on the same wavelength as Brady and Gronkowski.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
it's amazing.
And it's just, it's going to be tough for the Titans to get out of the AFC once again, because you got Kansas City, you got Buffalo, you got all these different teams. You got Pittsburgh, you got Baltimore, you got all these teams in the AFC that are threats. And I think Tennessee once again is going to make the playoffs this year. And it's going to be.
I mean, that's what blew my mind about Tampa Bay winning last year, because I just swore up and down whoever came out of the AFC was probably going to win it all.
And with that being
said,
of
course,
Todd,
Brady fooled us again.
Yep, damn it, Brady. And with that being said, Todd, how do you think Tennessee is going to be this year?
I think they'll win 12 games. Yeah, 12-5. Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen their schedule, but I mean, they're bringing back the core of what they did last year, and that conference up and down, it's not that tough. So yeah, I look for them to do pretty much what they did last year. I hope they continue to give the ball to Derek, let him go with it, and that opens up everything else. If you can run, you can do a lot of things,
Exactly. And now we're going to switch over to, I think, might be the second toughest division in the NFL, the AFC North. Oh boy. This one is going to be a dogfight this year. I mean, we had 3 teams.
That's a great conference, man.
Oh my God. I mean, 3 teams last year in that division alone, 3 out of 4 made the playoffs. And we're going to start it out. Well, let's get the trash out of the bag, right? Cincinnati last year, they were terrible, absolutely terrible last year. And the only credibility they got last year was they defeated somehow. I don't know how they did it. I guess hell froze over on that Monday night in 2020. I mean, well, it was 2020, but I digress. But they somehow, some way defeated the Pittsburgh Steelers on Monday Night Football last year. I mean,
I forgot about that.
Oh, wait, it's Mike Tomlin. I'm sorry. Cincinnati was terrible, and this year they're going to be terrible once again. I don't need to go over their team because last year they were terrible. I'll say it again. They were terrible, terrible, terrible. So they're going to be dead last in the AFC North once again. They're going to be 2-14 or 2-15.
Ooh.
Sorry, 2-15. Yep, I said it. 2-15.
Wow, I'm not giving them any love.
Dead last. No. What is love? Not from me. Mitch, how do you think the Bengals will do this year?
To quote, the great Charles Barkley, they're just terrible. They're terrible.
Terrible.
They're terrible. I think you're looking at your number 1 draft pick next year. I think Cincinnati's the worst team in the NFL this year.
Agree.
Can't disagree with that at all. Yeah,
they're just terrible.
Dead last.
Todd? Terrible.
Well, I'm gonna be a little bit kinder. I'm gonna let them say 4-13, which is significantly better. But
you're just trying to keep the Cincinnati fans on the coach's side.
Oh man. Well, I mean, they did have Joe Burrow. I mean,
I know, but he was injured last year at some point, and that right there really knocked their chances at getting a couple more wins. I mean, the kid's good,
which wasn't gonna matter, but.
Like when records busted up and nothing else matters. It doesn't matter.
I hate it for these kids who, somebody like Joe who comes from a great program, wins a championship, and then goes professional, and sometimes you never hear from them again.
Poor Cincinnati.
Sometimes you just don't need to hear from them again. It's that bad. Jamarcus Russell.
That's true.
Jamarcus Russell. All I'm going to say.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Probably the biggest bust ever.
Yeah, Literally. Yes, Chad, literally. So after moving on from that, that is Cincinnati, kicking them out there. So we're going to move on to the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh, we're not going to stay in the same state.
What's that?
I said we're not just going to stay in the same state.
Baltimore, man, last year they were, well, after having an MVP season 2 years ago, Lamar Jackson basically got a slap from reality, and everybody scouted him really well, and just he was scouted very well by all the other teams. And well, he didn't have the magic that he had in 2019 for Ravens. Let's just say that. And just last year, it was one of those years. 2020 was a rough year for everybody in the world of sports and across the world, obviously, with the pandemic and stuff like that, but especially with the Ravens, because COVID postponed that Pittsburgh game not once, not twice, but three.
That's right.
3 times.
That's right.
I mean, I've heard of the Madden cover curse, but damn, he got hit hard.
Hell yeah, he got hit hard. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, we're gonna put him on the Madden cover. Are you sure about that? You sure? You sure about that? Yeah, how'd that fare out for you, Mr. Jackson? I am for real.
Not well at all. Yeah, so, Mitch is right. They scouted him out last year, and they were able to stop him, and defense is good. That's something you always count on with the Ravens. But this year, like Tyler Huntley and Trace McCorley's your backup. So if Lamar goes down, I mean, it's really over for them unless they can bring somebody else in from the outside.
Well, and not only that, but McSorley is questionable.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, Marquise Brown, Sammy Watkins, and Rashad Bateman, all their starting wide receivers are all questionable.
Oh, no.
Miles Boykin, a backup wide receiver, Nick Bold, their backup tight end, Ben Cleveland, their third-string left guard, Bradley Bozeman, their starting center, and Kevin Zeitler, their starting right guard, are all questionable.
Oh, my God, that's huge names and positions there.
Deshaun Elliott at free safety, Marlon Humphrey at right cornerback are questionable, Jimmy Smith at left cornerback, Christian Welch at right inside linebacker, Khalil Dorsey is on the injured reserve.
What are they doing in practice?
Playing tiddlywinks with manhole covers, it seems like.
No kidding.
My God, I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, Baltimore is going to be a very interesting year this year for them. I mean, I really hope for Jackson's sake and for his psyche that he's worked on his game, because, man, last year Baltimore got hot. They got hot, and they made the playoffs, and they were on fire. They beat Tennessee in the wild card game 23 to 17 or 20 to 17, and 23-17, and just beat them bad. They beat them up. They beat them up good. And then they met the Buffalo Bills in the next round. And oh boy, we all remember that game because it was an ugly score from a scoring perspective. It was like 3-3. 3-3. Jackson and Baltimore are driving. And he gets down to the red zone and throws the pick six that changed the rest of the game. Pick six makes it 10-3, and right then and there, the rest of the game, it was history basically. And then
they never recovered.
As the fourth quarter went on, Jackson suffered a concussion. Well, that was a double whammy, and then Baltimore fans were booing, and it was not pretty, not pretty.
And they opened up with the Raiders on the road, and then the next week Chiefs at home. So their first 2 games right out of the gate were pretty tough.
You said Raiders
got the Lions
Raiders
after that.
Kansas City.
Yeah.
You want to talk about a tough week for them? The November 28th, December 5th, and December 12th goes Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Cleveland.
Yikes!
Followed by Green Bay on the 26th.
Holy crap! Who'd they piss off to get that schedule?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I can just hear Baltimore.
That's punishment.
So here, starting with November 28th, it goes Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Green Bay. Then they get an off week on Cincinnati.
They're gonna need it.
Then they play the Los Angeles Rams.
Oof.
Wait, is it the Rams or the Chargers? The Rams. And then they end the season playing Pittsburgh.
Oh boy.
Wow.
Oh my God. Like at this point,
that's a tough schedule. And for no better of a record than they had last year, that's like a record that the Super Bowl winner would have gotten or something.
11-6. I'm calling 11-6.
Oh, for the Ravens? Wow.
11-6.
I think they're going to go on a run early, and then that last stretch, they're going to drop the majority of their games.
Ooh, you know what? I'm going to say 10-5.
No, you got to remember there's 17 games.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
So that's why I was saying 11-6.
Yeah.
11-6.
I was going to say 10-7.
Oh boy. You know what? Oh man, I'm so torn. 11-6 or 10-7. I don't. Oh my God. Oof. That's gonna be tough.
That schedule's tough. Wow.
It could go 9-8. It could go. Oh my God.
Well, you figure they got Vegas the first week, then Kansas City, then Detroit, then Denver, Indy, Los Angeles. Then they got Cincinnati, then bye week, Minnesota, Miami, Chicago, and then they start the run of terror.
And you know what? I'm gonna say I'm gonna have to go with Todd on this one. 10-7. It's gonna be tough.
You're all entitled to be wrong. It's okay.
The only time, the only way they're gonna go 11-6 or higher is they got to win at least 3 out of those 3 out of those 4 or 5.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That way they'll be somewhat safe. I mean, it's not going to be pretty. And I think Jackson is going to have a pretty good year this year. I just don't think it's going to be enough because let's be honest, the other 2 teams that we're going to cover in this division. And we're going to go to that next team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh boy. Pittsburgh last year had one of those years. Once again, they had 2 games that had to be rescheduled. The Ravens game and the Titans game. Both of those games were rescheduled due to COVID. And Pittsburgh last year, at times, they struggled. They struggled bad. They lost to Cincinnati. They lost to Cleveland in the last week of the season. It just, they hit a wall. They hit a wall, and that wall was Mike Tomlin. And that wall was Mike Tomlin. They had several Mike Tomlin infamous games last year, and I just don't. I don't know. I'm so torn on Pittsburgh this year. I want to say they're going to do good, but at the same time, last year, how could I take them serious when their first 11 games or so last year was against teams that were not that good or were mediocre? And they were 11-0. I'm like, they're 11-0. You want to know why? Because they're beating the teams that they're supposed to beat.
Right.
Oh, man. So I'm going to say Pittsburgh finishes. Let's see. I am going to go 12-5. 12-5. If they can play up to their competition and get some consistent wins and play against a competition that's not consistent and be solid, I think Pittsburgh is going to be right where they were last year, and that's winning the division for the Steelers. Mitch, how do you think Pittsburgh's going to do this year?
I think it's going to come down to Big Ben's got to sync up with Juju Smith-Schuster. Mm-hmm. If those 2 can get on the same page, I could see them going 13-4.
13-4. Todd, what about you? How do you think Pittsburgh's going to do this year?
I think they're going to struggle. I'm saying 11-6. I just Big Ben is coming. It's coming to the end of the road for him, and Tomlin's coming in the road for him too. I think. Last year.
What's your record for them again?
What's your record? 11-6.
11-6. All right.
Yeah.
Interesting. 11-6. And now we move on to the team that nobody saw coming, including yours truly, saw coming when it comes to winning and getting into the playoffs. The Cleveland Browns. Last year, Cleveland shocked the entire NFL world, went 10-6, and made the playoffs for the first time in 25 plus years, it seems like. And man, Baker Mayfield, man, that dude was good last year. He was really consistent at times, for the most part. He struggled a couple of times, but Baker, man, if that kid has his head screwed on correctly, I think Cleveland could have a pretty solid year again this year. I mean, they went 10-6 last year. Oh, I don't know. I really don't know because, I mean, the offense they got is solid. Their defense, man, they drafted really well in the draft. And I think, oh man, it's so hard. It's so hard to pick, with this division, who I think is going to win, because to me, it's going to come down between Pittsburgh and Cleveland, because Cleveland was red hot on Pittsburgh's heels throughout that entire year last year. And they had a chance to win that division.
They did.
And they almost did. Almost. So
That's weird.
What's up?
Cleveland doesn't play Pittsburgh at all.
What?
Yeah. They play Buffalo, Vegas, Cincinnati, Green Bay, Denver, Seattle. Then they got the bye week. Then they play. Oh, wait. Hold on. No, Pittsburgh. Okay. I'm looking at Pittsburgh. The reason Pittsburgh's not appearing on the schedule is because I'm looking at Pittsburgh's schedule.
Oops.
Oh.
You had one job.
I had one job, and this is why we can't have
That would do it.
So, yeah. Okay, never mind. Ignore me.
But Cleveland last year, man, that the two-headed monster that is their running back attack. I mean, Chubb and Hunt, man, those dudes are beasts. And I think for them this year, I think Chubb and Hunt are going to have a great year for Cleveland.
Nope. And then you got to look at Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry.
Landry last year was solid. At times when Odell went down last year, I'm like, why is he even on the team? I mean, even though he's a talented player, but Cleveland last year didn't need him because they had Landry and the two-headed monster that is the running back duo, and just the defense, and just everybody was playing good last year. And I think Cleveland's going to be 11-6 this year. They're going to have I think they're going to do good this year. And, it just depends on the games against Pittsburgh and against Baltimore. That is going to determine everything in that division. Mitch, how do you think Cleveland's going to finish out this year?
I think 12-5. I mean, they were 11-5 last year, so I think they're going to pick up another win. I think they're going to come back pretty strong and confident and everything. They could very easily contend for winning the division. I could see it. I think they're going to make another playoff run. I don't think they'll make the Super Bowl, but they can make it to divisional round.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you think their opening game this year against Kansas City is going to say a lot about this team?
100%. If they come out and they fight like dogs, like their namesake, and they turn it into a dog fight and they keep it close, I think it gives them the confidence that they can play with the best in the league. And then I think it's open the door and hold on tight, because it's going to give it a wild ride.
Exactly. And how do you think Baker's going to finish this year as far as touchdown and interceptions this year?
I think he's going to be positive. Let's see. Last year he was 26-8 in the regular season, 4-1 in the postseason. I'm going to say 28 touchdowns to 6 interceptions.
I'm going to say 27 touchdowns and I'm going to say 7 interceptions. Todd, what about you? How do you think Cleveland's going to finish this year, and how do you think Baker Mayfield is going to finish out this year?
All right, so I cannot stand Baker Mayfield. But with that said, I mean, he's a hell of a quarterback, and you won't find a better competitor on any team. Dude is vicious, wants to win at any cost. You know, he'll take a hit, man. It don't matter if he needs that 6 more feet for a first down, and he knows he's going to get plowed on the sidelines right at the marker. Dude will stay in bounds all the way till he gets that first down. And with the weapons he's got and with the defense they've got, I think they're going to go 13-4.
Okay, so
12-5 for sure.
Why don't you like Baker Mayfield?
I just think he's a turd. I don't know. It goes back to college with me. I mean,
well, and he's on the greatest
I don't know.
of all time.
All right. I give you that.
I mean, I don't know the man as a human being. He's probably a delightful person. But I'm just talking about. I don't know. I just don't. But he's a very good quarterback with what all he's got surrounding him. And looking at their first 10 games, they could easily be 8-2 right out of the gate. You've got the Chiefs on the road second game, and you've got Pittsburgh at home in the 9th game. The other games are easily, I won't say easily, but they open up with the Falcons. They've got the Bears, Texans, Vikings, Chargers, and Cardinals. And Broncos. So those are games that they can win. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking for them to come out of the first 10 games pretty much unscathed.
Yeah.
And then I think Baker throws for 30 touchdowns and 9 interceptions.
30 to 9.
He's got a gunslinging.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Interesting. And how do you guys think, Mitch, I'll start with you. How do you think the two-headed monster that is Chubb and Hunt are going to finish this year as far as yards?
I think both over 1,000 yards.
Agree. Todd?
Totally agree. Totally agree. Maybe even both of them are 1,100 plus. I mean, they're good. That's a great tandem.
You know what?
Offensive line's good. They block good.
It sounds to me, Mr. Coach, that with your scouting report, you think that Cleveland this year is going to win the division in the AFC North.
Yes, I do. Absolutely.
Wow.
That's what my money's on.
Yeah. I think they're going to win it, and I think they're going to push KC to go all the way for win the whole AFC.
Wow! Oh, look at you, guns a blazing.
So our buddy AJ can owe me later for that.
Yeah, I know Anthony's sitting there jumping for joy hearing that his Cleveland Browns, in Todd's opinion, are going to go and knock out Kansas.
All the way.
I mean, Cleveland, man, they have a very good shot to take the AFC by storm this year. And next week, we wrap up our AFC conference previews for the AFC East and the AFC West as next week. It is the finale of our NFL season previews as we are, yes, folks, we are getting super, super close to opening game, baby. And it's going to be one hell of a ride, with this season this year. I mean, just man, it's been a lot of fun, talking these last several weeks about how we think these teams are going to do. And we totally forgot. And thanks to Steve for bringing that up, that each team this year, all the teams in the NFL are playing 17 games this year. So that right there flipped the entire script. I mean, Jacksonville, I think it's going to be 3-14. Just, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
What kills me is all the fans here in Jacksonville that run around thinking, "Oh, we got Trevor Lawrence, so it's an instant invite to the Super Bowl."
Sorry, no,
that's not how that works. That's
not this year anyway. Not this year.
It's good and everything, but that's not how that works.
Steven, we don't have the ability for people to call in on Discord for this, do we?
What's that?
We don't have the ability for people to call in the show through Discord, do we?
Yes, we do. If anybody wants to call in,
AJ Brantley, Anthony wants to call in and throw some words, some knowledge on us for his team, the Browns.
Let's go. Come on in.
All right. So if you know how to do it, Anthony, just call on in, brother. Stephen will hook you up.
Exactly.
You guys got me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What up, guys? I tuned in right when you guys started talking Browns football. Like, how is that timing? I got Baker throwing.
Oh, he cut out.
Oh, man. Call back in, AJ, if you can hear us. Give him a second.
There he is.
Like,
There he is. You broke up on us, brother.
Sorry, I got him throwing for like 35 touchdowns, 8 or 9 picks, 3,800 yards, and then Nick and Kareem splitting like 11 or 1,200 apiece on the season.
Well, you and me are close. That's about what I said. You're a little bit higher than me.
But I see, like you guys said, if they can come out against the Chiefs and set the table and set the precedent that they are not the same Cleveland Browns team that everybody thinks that they've been for the last 30 years. Like they have some magic brewing in that city. Like some people don't see it. Some people, it's just they got lucky. They had a good. No, they've been building towards this.
No, I agree.
It's like they've been building an offensive line. They've been like, I am so stoked as a Browns fan. Like it's hard to get this hype for when you're a Browns fan sometime, man. I'm like, wow, I actually have a chance at the AFC Championship again this year. Like I have a chance at this, to be a part of this team. Like I love being a Browns fan. Like I do. So yeah, you guys are pretty much right on. Like if they set the table right September 12th against the Chiefs, they could go 8-2 to start those first 10 games. And then
that's exactly what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Who the heck?
Well, if they beat the Chiefs, I'm thinking 9-1 first 10, to be honest.
If they could take if they could take both away from Pittsburgh and 1 away from Baltimore, that's it. That's it for me. That's it. But you guys have a great rest of the show. Thanks for letting me call in. I appreciate it.
Man, thanks for calling in, brother.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yep. Love you guys. Have a great night.
All right, man. Love you.
Right, that was the great AJ, the diehard Cleveland Browns fan that he is. And man, once again, if anybody wants to call into the show and talk about whatever they want to talk about from tonight's show, sports show topics, they're in the Discord on the Nation's Corner. Go to the Voice channel, join the voice, listen to the show live. And if you have a question, type comment, or I got a comment or a question I want to talk about, and hey, we'll let you in. And it's all up to you to talk about what you want to talk about. And so that was nice having AJ talking about his Browns there. And Todd, I mean, you have a very solid point that Cleveland this year might be the dark horse in the AFC division or the AFC conference, because if they can take away that first game against Kansas City, and like Anthony said, take the 2 games against Pittsburgh and at least 1 from Baltimore, they're pretty much sitting pretty because they've already got they've already would have 3 wins on the division in their conference or in their division in the North. And that right there would help them out perfectly. And then it's about finishing your conference record. How do you finish outside of the conference and all that? So it's going to be rather interesting, next week as we preview the AFC East and the AFC West next week. And now I want to, once again, before we move on to our next topic, I want to once again plug our social media platforms. You can follow us on Twitter at _sports show. Give us a follow, and you can see our interactions on Twitter and get what's coming up in the world of sports in the next our shows and all that good stuff. And next week, we might have a possible guest joining us. I'll just leave it at that. SiriusXM host Lance Meadow may be joining us next week.
Yeah, we're a week away from college football too.
Yep, exactly. College football's coming up, and if his schedule permits and nothing else comes up, Lance will be joining us next week at 7:30. And it's always great talking to Lance. Lance is such a great, wise guy in the world of sports, football, basketball, baseball, hockey, all those sports, man. I love listening to Lance's coverage on Mad Dog Radio and NFL radio and all that stuff. And just such a great guy. He does great stuff. He covers the Giants, and he's a great broadcaster too, as far as announcing. He does a great job at what he does. And
real quick, Stephen, I hate to cut this short, but I have to jump off, go help the wife with some things. And then unfortunately, real world life is kicking my butt this week. So I'm going to have to hop off and get some rest, but thanks for having me again.
Thank you, Mitch, for joining us, brother.
All right, guys. You have a
Had
good,
a good time, buddy.
Yeah, man.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Well, thanks for having him on the show tonight. And so, Todd, we're going to switch over to the NBA as Joel Embiid reported this week has signed a 4-year max deal with the Philadelphia 76ers at $196 million. As a matter of fact, he also had 2 additional years that was on his contract, $65 million. That's a lot of money. That's a lot.
Couple of dollars. I don't think he's going to have to worry about food stamps or anything anytime soon.
I don't think so either. And just
we talked off air about that, prior to the show starting. And I mean, at least I'm all for anybody that can get what they can get. And obviously that's what the market's calling for right now, because there's been several other basketball players that signed similar deals. But man, that is a lot of money for any sport.
That's a lot.
It's gotten out of hand, seemingly in everything, all sports. Yeah,
it really has. I mean, football with the contracts they got, baseball especially with those contracts, and every NBA.
To me, baseball is the one I can't wrap my head around it. I just can't. Hockey players are probably the least paid out of the top 4 sports or professional sports that we think about, and they're taking a whole lot more brutal shots and they're a whole lot more athletic as far as I'm concerned. I know they say hitting a Major League Baseball is probably the hardest thing to do, but I don't know, man. You're on skates, flying up and down the ice, getting sticks jabbed at you, and you're still able to score and stand on your feet. And I don't know. I think hockey players are right up there at the top myself, but.
It's just one of those things, man. I mean, when you look at, how Embiid played last year, I mean, he was very consistent for Philadelphia. He was one of the main reasons why Philadelphia was the top seed in the Eastern Conference last year. And they were a game away from the conference finals, but they came up short in 7 games against the red hot.
Well, Ben Simmons,
Ben Simmons, you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
And that was something that Embiid did that you had, or at least I don't recall him ever doing prior, was he this year, especially towards the end of the season, he became a little bit more of a leader, spoke out more. And at the end of that year, or at the end of that game when Ben more or less choked, he called him out publicly over it.
And he had every right to, because, I mean, Joel's doing his thing. He's busting his ass down low and getting these shots to the basket and driving, posting up at the basket on the defenders and taking small defenders, to the hole and scoring and taking big guys off of their feet, basically, and driving to the basket and, and scoring all that stuff and rebounding the ball and just being a solid player and doing what MVP caliber players do. And
doing it through a lot of it of pain. He's kind of stays injured. So, during the course of the year for the last, 3 years now, he's had a few issues with knees and things and back, his back bothers him a lot.
Absolutely.
But he plays through it hard. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, if Embiid can stay healthy this year, I think Philadelphia's going to be one of the top 3 seeds in the Eastern Conference again in the NBA this year. I mean, he's that good. If he stays healthy, he's that good.
Simmons he's got to get better. He's got to learn to shoot.
He's got to get
from
good.
At least 15 feet out. I mean,
got to get good or got to get gone. Goodbye. If you can't.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to be able to take the ball to the hoop and dish it off or score, off the dribble, but you still got to be able to hit a 15 to 20 footer on a somewhat consistent basis.
Exactly. And like we talked about last week on last week's show, me, you, Mitch, and Kevin were talking about this, and we talked about this when you've been on the show, about Ben Simmons. He is the weakest link on this team as far as 1A to 1B, with Embiid being number 1 and him being number 2 and trying to be number 2. If you're going to be a great player, you got to be able to work on that game. And Ben Simmons, he's had ups and downs. He's a number 1 overall pick for Philadelphia, and he's a great point guard as far as passing the ball and doing that stuff. And, and a good solid defender, you know, and
yeah. And he can even guard guys down low with his size, and he does.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember him coming out of LSU, though. You know, you could tell even then, and the scouts even said it. You know, because in LSU, he would just take the ball to the hoop, and nobody in the SEC could stop him. They could.
Nobody could stop
him. But then no. But everybody knew that he couldn't hit that, you know, mid-range shot. Well, 3-pointer as far as that goes.
Jason beat game 5 last year.
Yeah. And you know what? I mean, I'm sure it's not for lack of work. I'm sure he's in the gym shooting 1,000 shots a day. You know, some people just can't shoot. I mean, it is what it is. But
that's true.
But man, he's made some really big shots and given up big shots. There's been times in his career where he needed to take it. Instead, he passed it off and gave the guy like 1 second to try to jack up a shot, you know, because he wasn't willing or able to hit that 15 to 20 footer. So
because he knew that he didn't have the confidence in himself to hit that shot.
Exactly.
He's got to get that out of his head. If he wants to move on, it wants to be a better counted on player, he's got to work on his game hard enough, you know, and I hope he does, you know, and
if he ever gets better offensively like that, that sure enough will be tough.
Oh, absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
He's easy to defend right now. All they have to do is keep him, you know, out of the lane. So
yeah. I mean, and that's why they lost game 5 against Atlanta last year, 109 to 106, because he was missing free throws. He missed 13 of 14 free throws.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
He missed 10 of 14 free throws. That's insane.
You can't do that being a professional basketball player.
Not even Shaq when it mattered the most.
No, you're right.
Even Shaq, though he had his struggles from the free throw line, when Shaq was accounted upon, he said, "I've delivered." He delivered.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's the thing. I mean, again, back to Embiid. Embiid gets this maximum contract from Philadelphia because they know they can trust this guy. Well, I tell you what, Ben Simmons won't be singing that money from Philadelphia because they can't trust him. You know, and the fans, I'm sure, don't trust him. You know, because they watch him every.
Oh no, they were on him hard last year. They were on him hard.
That's why in that game against Atlanta, I was like, "Oh boy!" I said, "They're coming back. They're coming back." You know, and I'm like, if Ben Simmons keeps on not jacking up shots that are bad, they're going to lose this game, and they did. No surprise, they didn't recover.
I mean, Atlanta had no business beating them in a 7-game series.
No business.
Absolutely, no business.
None, and it was all because of Ben freaking Simmons, and that's the problem. Yep. And I mean, you can pay Embiid all this money, $160 million on this max deal, including 2 extra years. So he's got 6 years left in Philadelphia, and Embiid cannot be just the only player that is producing. I mean, you got to have Tobias Harris, you got to have all of these guys, Harris and Simmons, and all of these players for Philadelphia, you know, contributing. Because last year in that game 5 collapse, only had 2 players scoring. And that's not good. And
that's not going to get you anywhere.
No, and it's not. And the other topic I want to talk about when it comes to baseball, Ohtani, that boy good.
Oh wow,
he's bad.
He's decent. He's
good. 40 home runs.
Yeah, incredible.
It is 40th home run last night, and I'm telling you, he's not going to break the record. But he's going to come pretty down.
Yeah, he's going to come close.
I say at most he's going to hit probably 60. Ooh, let's see. I'll say 62. What do you think?
I was going to say 60, 61 maybe. I was going to say 60. Yeah, I think he'll see 60. You know, depending on who they've got coming up, what the chances of each team going to the playoffs or not going to the playoffs, you know, because that depends on how a team may or may not pitch to him, you know. But man, he's so good. And I hate that situation they had the other night in Detroit with Jack Morris. Did you hear about that?
I did not. What happened?
Oh, Lordy. So Jack Morris is the Detroit Tigers color guy.
Okay.
And they were asking him how to pitch to him. And when they asked Jack, well, how would you pitch to him? When he answered, he spoke like in a Asian accent.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he mocked the accent. And that was not good. That was not good. That's right.
You got to know better than at this day and age, But what I was going to say was, Honey handled it beautifully. Like they asked him about it. He was like, listen, I wasn't offended at all. It didn't bother me at all. I wish the Tigers hadn't have done anything to him. Wow, he's a Hall of Fame pitcher. Oh yeah, he handled it, graciously,
Wow,
and it very well may not have bothered him. I mean, he certainly didn't act like it, but that dude, and how old is he? I mean, he's young. I mean,
young dude. And it's also too the fact as well. He had a great game that night. Also, not just hitting the ball, but pitching.
Well, I know it.
My God, I mean, the guy is that good. He's this dude is a threat, a double threat, and he's going to be a double.
27 years old. He's 27
years old. Wow, 27, and the way this dude is pitching right now and hitting, he's going to be a double threat for years to come as long as he stays healthy.
I mean, we've talked about it before, and of course, none of us were around to see Babe Ruth, so and the game was played different back in those, that era of baseball. But I mean, I know me growing up. I mean, I'm 55. I've never seen anybody at that level pitch and hit and feel the way that he can do it all.
Right.
You just don't see it. Yeah, everybody's so specialized nowadays.
Yeah, that's the one thing I think Ohtani has over anybody in the MLB right now is the fact that this guy plays both positions. And if you're really good at both positions, you can probably guess at times what the pitch is going to be at times. When you see the ball and how it's going. I mean, because with him being a great pitcher and a great hitter at playing both positions, he can probably sit there and guess, oh, this guy's going to throw a curveball. So I got
knows what to look for. Yeah, that's a great point. I've never thought of that, but you're exactly right.
And we'll just have to wait and see. Now, he's not going to break the record for the most home runs. But this dude is having an MVP caliber year this year.
Yeah, it's been really fun to watch. Team's not so good, but our minor league team here in called the Rocket City Trash Pandas, that's their AA feeder team, minor league team. And we've had a couple of guys called up that got to play for the Angels, but I don't know if they'll go on to do anything serious, but it's always cool to kind of know that you've got somebody like that in the major league, team that you feed into. But yeah, at 27 years of age, there's going to be a lot of numbers, a lot of records that he's going to break.
Absolutely.
At some point.
And we were talking about this, me, you, and Mitch. We were talking about this in our pre-show meeting. I want to bring this out on the show. We were talking about the college athletes because, college football is coming upon us too.
Yep.
These kids now are getting paid with their likenesses, their images, and all of that stuff, their namesake, everything. They're getting paid. The kid from Alabama made over $800,000 and has not even
taken a snap.
Has not even taken a snap. And this is my problem with these college kids getting paid. And I'll ask you your point. I'll ask you after I say this. When it comes to these kids getting paid, to me, that is not good in a way. Why? Because that right there takes the drive, in my opinion, out of the athlete to get better. Because if you're making $10, $20 million in your college career, what the hell is the point of playing professional football? Because if these college football kids are getting paid, if they're going to be making the money they're making off of their likenesses and all that stuff, going forward, what's the point? You made 20 million. You know what? I'm set for life. Yeah. I don't have to do a damn thing. I mean, think about it, Todd. You and Mitch and I, we were talking about this back in the day. Think about it, dude. The NBA, the NFL, MLB, NHL, all the great athletes that have played their sports, Joe Montana, Michael Jordan, Derek Jeter, Brett Favre, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird. I could keep going on and on and on and on. Jerry Rice, all of these players, you name them from different sports. Wayne Gretzky, all of these great players that have played across the landscape of sports. Those guys bust their ass. All of these guys and gals back in the day bust their ass when they were kids to get to where they want to be in their life. Because they made their minds up when they were kids or teenagers. Hey, I want to be a professional athlete because I know if I practice hard, I can get better at what I do and what I'm supposed to do. And that's be a great player. I mean, when Michael Jordan got cut from the varsity basketball team, that right there, I mean, did it hurt him? Yes, it did. But it also made Michael Jordan an even stronger person because
it made him who Michael Jordan became is what it did.
Exactly. Because the fact that guy went on to play and had a great varsity high school career in basketball, goes to play college basketball at UNC, wins a championship, goes to the NBA, and well, the rest is history.
Yeah.
6 NBA championships, 5-time MVPs, multiple All-Star games, multiple MVPs, 6-time Finals MVPs. That dude, greatest basketball player of all time. And that's Absolutely. The problem. That, getting back to these kids today, these kids are getting paid money in college football now. They've been fighting for this. Oh, we should be getting money. We should be getting money. Well, in my opinion, if you're getting paid this kind of money, you do not have to play professional sports anymore because you're set for life. As long as you save your money.
And you're right. At some point in the next 4 to maybe not 4 years, we'll say 5 to 10 years, you'll probably exactly see some of those kids do that. Especially maybe not basketball or but football definitely. Because if they're sitting on $15-20 million coming out of college, why would you go take unless you just love so much, you're willing to go take that pounding and concussions and things of that nature. But you'll see somebody come out of college and whether they stayed 4 years and got their degree. And that's one thing that I was hoping would change things by getting paid, that maybe some of these kids wouldn't be one and done, that they would stay in 2, 3, maybe even 4 years and get their degree. Right. I don't think that's going to happen, but also I feel like, and I got slammed on Twitter about a month ago because the topic came up. I think it was Twitter. It might have been Bleacher Report. But anyway, I just kind of I was just responding to somebody else who had said that they thought there should be a cap. And I said, I absolutely agree. There should be some sort of cap. And the guy was like, well, that's bull. How would you feel if they put a cap on you at work? Well, it's not the same thing. I was trying to say, I think it's going to cause dissension among teammates. And so that guy was going back and forth with me. I'm like, look, dude, I don't really want to argue. But I said, where I used to work, we had temporary workers and we had full-time workers, and they were all doing the same job. Temporary workers didn't have insurance. They didn't get paid the same hourly wage. And I said, and at some point, 6 months went by, a year went by, a year and a half went by. They were still temp and doing the same job as, the full-time workers and getting paid $4 an hour less. They became, and rightfully so, kind of PO'd. Like, hey, wait a minute. I'm over here working just as hard as this guy or girl, and they're getting paid a lot more than I am, And so that dissension started, right? And they're like, piss on it. I'm not going to work as hard anymore. You're going to have a time where, Bryce is in the huddle or something, getting all over a lineman for not blocking, and he's probably going to be like, you the one sitting up here making all this NIL money, not me, dude. And the next play, he's going to be like, yeah, there he is. Just go ahead and tackle him, Right. I think even Nick Saban has even said he's worried about it. It was some coach. It may not have been Nick, but somebody has. Some coach has said how they said it.
But even Nick Saban is a great example because, my God, these kids are getting paid a shit ton of money right out the gate and not even playing it down. That's my problem. College sports has always been the sport that the passion, the excitement was in the air every time there was a championship game or a big time bowl game or a big time rivalry game. everybody was excited for the game, and there was no money involved with these athletes.
No.
And now the passion, I think, is going to be gone.
And I'm one of these too that for one thing, you got to, you have to think about how, the lacrosse team's not going to get nothing. The rowing team, the swim team, the tennis team, the golf, maybe the golf. There might be some golfers. But, I mean, you know what I mean? There's so many other sports, track and field. They might get a little something for being amateur. But, I mean, for the most part, they're not – their image and likeness ain't going to be used because they're not on TV.
No, that's the problem that I have with this. It's all about money. I think it's bullshit.
Right. And it's just, to me, it's something like – and not every college is the same, but if anybody's ever walked on a major college campus, man, these kids are living much better than they did back when I was in college years. I mean, the dorms are much nicer, and the facilities are just out of this world. Like, you walk in Alabama, they have a juice bar, like where you can just walk up and order you a smoothie, like you're a Smoothie King or something. And you don't pay for it. You just get it and you leave. They eat some of the best food that you can eat for free. They're getting the best education with tutors for free. Yes, they're working hard. It's a job. But I don't think they should be knocking down $800,000 a year.
Right.
Don't.
I mean, my God. I mean, I'm flabbergasted at this. I mean, the fact that when we all heard that these kids are going to be getting paid with their likenesses and all this other stuff, I'm sitting there thinking that's not a good idea. And I know probably the average Joe from the street would go, well, why do you say that? Well, when you add money into the situation, money's the root of all evil, right? Right. And that's going to be the problem with these college kids. They're not going to have.
And it kind of stems from the video games, remember, and the jerseys, the sale of jerseys. That's where it kind of, started years ago. Well, I mean, if I'm creating a video game for college football, I'm just not going to use your likeness. If you're number 20 and you're running back, I'm going to make you number 14. Everybody's last name can be Smith or something. You know what I mean? I mean, if I'm playing the game, I want to play the game with the real, players' names. I mean, anybody would want that.
You're right,
but I'm just saying, if it gets out of hand, nobody has to use your image and likeness. They just won't use it.
I mean, Todd, you just said it right there. I mean, for years and years and years, EA Sports, 2K Sports, when they used to do the college basketball, college football games, they had the teams and the players that were in the game, but their names and likenesses were not in the game because they didn't have those rights back then. And now, and it begs the question, does college football, college basketball make a return to the video game market now that there is money involved? And you know what?
I don't think so.
I'm surprised you say that. I think so, because if there's there's money involved, I think that these players can go, our names cannot be in the game. So you know what? Let's make a college football game. Let's make a college basketball game. I think at some point down the line, we're going to see the return of college video games. And there hasn't been.
Well, I mean, I see what you're saying, but I guess the lines I was thinking on was just like, at some point, if they're asking for too much to use their image and likeness, then a video maker's, game maker's just not going to use it. They're just, what I mean? They'll replace you with some guy named Joe Smith who doesn't look like you, has a different number than you. I don't know if that, as a person buying I don't play video games, so I don't know that it would matter to me. I just, and even jersey sales, as a quarterback, as a running back, as a receiver, your jerseys may sell. As a defensive tackle, nobody's buying your jersey.
That's an excellent point. No matter what, no matter if it's professional or if it's college. I mean, the top dog.
Exactly.
The top dog players and as receivers, tight ends, running backs, quarterbacks, linebackers, and even safeties, and even sometimes kickers, they get paid. They get nice jersey sales. But them defensive ends and them offensive linemen, no.
You're not going to see anybody walk around with number 72 Jackson written on their jersey. Just nobody's buying it. Left offensive tackle's jersey. Just doesn't happen.
Hey, guess what, guys? What? I got every Kansas City Chiefs football jersey. Oh, really? So that means you got the offensive and defensive linemen? Yes. Every jersey. Every freaking jersey. You know,
that's cool.
Like you got, yeah, that's great, isn't it? Yeah, yeah, whatever. Yeah, there ain't no way I would do that. No, but that's never gonna happen unless you're a diehard fan, and you know. But it's just like that when we were talking about this, I'm like, wow, that would be a great topic for the show tonight because that begs the question: are college kids going to try super hard to be as good as they want to be? You know, watching their idols back then play as hard as they did. Because, I mean, think about it. Tom Brady was the 6th round draft pick, 199 overall selection, 2000 draft. And he had a chip on his shoulder. And look what he's done. 7 Super Bowls. Yeah.
But it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. And one thing I will say, I would hope that if these kids wanted to either get or keep their NIL money, that they will work hard enough to maintain their level of athleticism and be a star. But at the same time, and a lot of this stems back to that whole generation of you're going to respect me. Where's my respect? Where, you know what I mean? It's like, look, man, you're getting a college education, dude. It's up to you whether you stay and get the degree or not.
Exactly.
You don't have to leave early. Nobody's told you to leave early. And if you can go early and be a millionaire, that is awesome. Good for you. But while you're there, you're an amateur athlete. Yes, coaches are getting paid millions of dollars and schools are making millions of dollars. But that just kind of is what it is. That's the way I look at it.
Think about it. Let's call a spade a spade. Your quarterback in Alabama, like I said, $800,000 right out the gate, not played a single snap. Let's just say, if he makes over $15-20 million for Alabama in the next 4 years, as to how long he plays in college football, he gets drafted into the NFL. He's a top dog selection for whoever drafts him in the NFL draft, you know, in 5-6 years.
Yeah.
Is he going to have the same passion to play? And that's all going to depend on how he wants to do.
That's true. Yeah.
That's the problem that I'm having with this. That's my whole entire problem with this.
I think at some point, you won't see it in the next 2 or 3 years, but 5 years and beyond, I think it will become an issue of some degree, and they're going to have to either roll it back a little bit or just start paying them off. Like, you know, everybody gets $2,500 a month. I don't care what sports you pay, but then it comes down to, and you're going to start seeing, you know, it's already started the ACC, right? We've got Oklahoma and Texas coming in.
Yep.
Now the Pac-10, Big 10, Pac-12, they're trying to combine. You're going to see these 4 or 5 major conferences.
Got to be.
And at some point, all those kids might get paid. You know, baseball players may not make as much as football, basketball, whatever. And then you have all these other, like Boise States and all these others on the peripheral that are just going to be kind of left out in the cold.
Yeah, that's the problem with this money situation that they're doing, is because now everybody is not getting treated equal. This is my biggest problem with college athletes getting paid, is because we're not treating each player in college football, basketball, baseball, hockey, whatever sport it is, the same. Because the hierarchy when it comes to college sports, Duke, UNC in basketball, Alabama in football, Clemson in football, etc. I can keep going on and on and on. Those schools and those athletes are going to get treated like kings, you know, there, because they're top schools and top colleges. And they had the chance to be top players because they're at a top school and great coaching.
Well, and then also all that translates into recruiting. Like, you know, when that came up about Young at Alabama, Bryce, Coach Saban brought that up at the ACC Media Days. And and I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's a big, big deal here in the South. And cameras and TV stations everywhere. So all these kids are going, what? That dude got that much and he didn't even play the game yet? Huh. I think I might want to go to Alabama next year.
Yeah. I mean, Bryce is getting paid.
It's good for us. Roll Tide. You know, I'm not going to complain about it, but at some point I'm going to be complaining about it because there's going to be a different team and it's not going to be Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we were saying, Bryce is getting paid this kind of money, and the dude hasn't played a single snap in his entire life in college.
It's amazing.
It's amazing how money can change the entire perspective of an athlete. And back in the day, back in the 70s, the 60s, the 50s, hell, even the 20s, that and the 80s, the 90s, those athletes busted their asses. They wanted to be the best pound for pound basketball, football, boxers, MMA.
Absolutely.
They wanted to be the best, and they trained and worked so hard to get where they wanted to be in life. And they said, screw the money. We don't care about the money, and because money was second nature to those athletes back in the day, and that's when sports
the only kind of overlying blessing about all of it is that they have to put it away right now. They can't spend it while they're in school. So at least they can't roll around in a brand new Mustang or big wood truck or whatever.
I'm glad that colleges are doing that, because you're going to get paid. Well, you know what, sunshine, you're not going to get to spend a shit ton of it right now, because you got to do your part, be good in school, have your grades good, and be sure to also be productive on the field, the court, or the hockey rink.
You bring up a good point, because at this point, now that you're getting paid, it is a job.
It is a job.
Before, it was, you're working hard like it was a job, but now you have the expectations. Not only do you have to work hard and practice hard, and like you said, go to school and get your grades and don't miss classes and all that, but you also have to maintain a high level of performance, or they're going to have to pull your NIL money back, because you're not selling my product now, because you're not throwing touchdown passes, or you're not running the ball.
That's the thing. It all turns around the money, and these athletes are getting paid. This is what they wanted. Well, it's time to put up or shut up, boys and girls, because when you get out there and you're playing, you got to try. If you don't try hard, somebody that says, his money or her money is going to go down. Well, you know what? I'm going to be the next guy or girl that takes that spot.
I would love to see one of those contracts, how they're written up. If there are any performance clauses per se, or you know what I mean. I'd love to be able to see one. I'm sure we never will, but it'd be interesting.
Absolutely. Well, if before we wrap up this show, I kind of want to touch upon this with you. I know we're primarily a sports show, but this Saturday, the biggest party of the summer, SummerSlam in Vegas. How do you think this is going to go? Because that Cena and Reigns match is going to be insane.
Oh, dude. So, first of all, I was excited here today on Busted Open that it looks like that they are sold out, or they did sell the first 40,000 tickets and opened up. I don't know if you heard that or not, but it was rumored there for a while that there was a lot of tickets floating around, and they didn't. It was going to be not an empty arena, but it wasn't going to be full. But it is going to be full. They sold the 40,000, and the waiting list was so long, WWE opened it up to more tickets. So it's going to be packed, 40,000 plus. So Cena Reigns. If Vince holds grudges like we think he holds grudges, I could very well see them letting Cena win just so they could say he's the 17-time winner, the belt.
That's a good point.
To me, it ruins the whole freaking wrong. I mean, to me, because Cena's leaving. He's not sticking around if he wins the belt.
Absolutely.
It'll be short. I can't even see him sticking around to WrestleMania. Because the man's making movies left and right, it seems like, here lately. So Roman's got such a good story going right now. To me, I'd rather see them add on to that, increase the family, head of the table.
Absolutely.
If they play it right, Roman's going to win. But the way that all the promos have been going and some of the things you see or hear, man, it would not shock me, Stevie, if they put it on Cena. It really would. It's a wrong decision, but to me, it's wrong.
Because I was asking Ashley earlier this week. I said, "Hey, who do you think's going to win the Cena Reigns match without skipping a beat?" She said, "Cena." I said, "Really? Yeah. They want to have their golden boy, their golden child, the guy who was the top guy in the WWE, be the 17-time world champion beat Ric Flair's record.
And I think it very well could go that way. I really do.
I hope not, because
I hope not either. I really do. And I like Cena. I really do. But he's not a full timer, And
another match I'm looking forward to is Rollins and Edge. That's going to be really good.
That's going to be brutal, man. Somebody's getting busted open in that.
Busted open.
I think.
It's going to be a rather interesting
Be some
night.
blood spilled.
Yeah, you want blood? We got it. Yeah, hope we. This has been awesome, and once again, shout outs to Ezra. He is there at the John 5 concert.
Yeah,
I know he's rocking out, hearing some great musicianship from John 5 and his band. Man, if you have never seen John 5 live play with Rob Zombie or with his solo project, man, you got to check this dude out. This dude is a shredder. And ever since
he's going to be here in 2 weeks, August 31st on a Tuesday night. I'm trying to go.
Friend, so I'm happy for you to be at that show. That's going to be an awesome show with John 5, and I got to check this guy out twice with Zombie and here in the Carolinas. And man, every time I heard him play that guitar, man, he lights it up. And ever since he's joined Zombies, man, when he left Manson's, man, I'm like, man, this dude's getting to use his talents right now. He gets to show out when he needs to show out, play guitar.
Yeah, Rob lets him be John 5. That's what's cool.
Exactly. And I heard John 5 solo stuff, and I'm like, holy crap, this dude is good. This dude's good.
Yeah.
He's got massive skills. And also shout outs to Sean from New Orleans. Who dat nation, baby? The biggest.
Who dat? By your birthday, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Happy birthday, Sean. And once again, and also before I forget, you can follow the Nation's Corner on Facebook and YouTube. Both at the Nation's Corner, Facebook.com/The Nation Show, YouTube.com/ Facebook.com/The Nation's Corner, and YouTube.com/The Nation's Corner. But on Twitter, it's at Nation's Corner. Thanks, Twitter, for screwing that crap up. Give me a break. I mean, we can't even put the Nation's Corner on Twitter because of the freaking character limits. I mean, come on.
I know it.
Come
Crazy.
on. I mean, come on. I mean, this is why the sports show, we couldn't even get the whole name on there because, character limits. Can we get the Nation's Corner on there? No. Sorry.
Nope.
It's just Nation's Corner. Sorry. We're already at over 100 subscribers on the Nation's Corner, so we're happy about that. We're going to keep the positivity spreading around the world of professional wrestling and the sports show, man. We're getting so close to the 100 subscribers. We need to get there, man. We're at 73 is the last time I checked. And and just, man, we love
it's now still 73. So y'all get over there and like it, share it so others can like it as well.
Share our pages, follow the Nation's Corner on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Follow our content, man, because man, it's been a lot of fun talking wrestling last week with Tony and Deb on the Nation's Corner last week, and helping out with the show last week and talking about all things AEW and WWE and NWA and Mission Pro and what they got going on. I mean, just, man, tomorrow night, AEW Rampage in Chicago. Oh my God.
Oh man. Hey. It's gonna be incredible.
Man, oh man. Just, man, that crowd tomorrow night, if CM Punk shows up, ooh, are you kidding me? That's going to be the top.
And our buddy Ezra's going to be there as well.
Yes, Ezra's going to be there representing our Nation Sports Show and the Nation's Corner, all at Chicago for AEW Rampage. It's going to be insane. And next week, man, for this show we got going on, we got the AFC East and AFC West conference, wrapping that up. And if his schedule, doesn't get conflicted as far as shows that he's doing, because he's a busy man. He's a great host on Sirius XM. Lance Meadow, man. As long as his schedule does not change, he will be joining us next week. And looking forward to talking to Lance once again for a third time. We had him on our show last year, and we had him on our Nation Sports Show back in February talking about the Super Bowl from this past year. And we look forward to talking to Lance about what is to come in the National Football League this upcoming season, because, oh boy, we have a lot to discuss with Mr. Lance Meadow. And Once again, ladies and gentlemen, you can follow us on Twitter at ON_sports show and Facebook.com/Nations Sports Show and the Nation's Corner. Once again, folks, Twitter at Nation's Corner, YouTube.com/the Nation's Corner, and Facebook.com/the Nation's Corner. Those are our socials across all of our social media platforms. Todd, how can they find you on Twitter?
And on Twitter, I'm at Fitting the Piece. Not pieces because of the character deal, just fitting the piece. My son has autism, so that's where that came from.
Yep.
And then you just find me on Facebook, Todd Tomerlin.
Yep. You can find me on Facebook at just Stephen Wyand. You can find me on Twitter at Stephen_Wyand. And man, it's awesome doing this show, talking sports with everybody, and all of this. And we look forward to next week. And man, watch out, sports and wrestling world, because man, our Nation Sports Show and the Nation's Corner, we have you covered in the world of professional wrestling and the world of sports for the next couple of weeks, man. It is going to be one of those weeks because, man, also next week, front row, Neil, Trenda, Mrs. Front Row, and our buddy, Tony Justice. Yeah. Will be there on Saturday. Tony will be there Saturday at NWA Empower. They all
happy for them. They're gonna have a great time.
And then front row, Neil, Trenda, Mrs. Front Row, and all of them will be at the NWA 73 anniversary show. And how about that pickup, Todd? That before we went live.
Oh my goodness!
Woo! Woo! To be the man, you're gonna beat the man. For the 73rd anniversary, man, that was so awesome to bring him in.
NWA 73.
Yes. That's RA in the background. Just man, it's been so awesome, man. What we got going on, man. Nation's Corner, our Nation Sports Show. We got a lot of great stuff coming up for all of y'all for the next couple of weeks, and we would like to thank you for joining us on another edition of our Nation Sports Show. So for Mitch Young, thank you for joining us tonight, brother. For Mitch Young, Todd Tomerlin, I am Stephen Wonder Wyand, and this has been another edition of our Nation Sports Show. Take care, everybody. Have a great day, and God bless.
Turn me up.